through the it's all just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. I just don't get Lance Stroll. I think he's so odd as a human being. Just not sure. Anyhow, we'll get into qualifying now. Sorry, Stroll fans, but he will never be good enough. I think he's good enough to be like a midfield driver, but for some reason he just never gives anything back. You know, I know he gets a lot of criticism from fans, from media, but he just doesn't help himself at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, he really doesn't give them anything to be excited about, and doesn't give them any personality, doesn't give them anything. And you can have like minimal personality and make that your personality. Like Max Verstappen doesn't really like the media stuff, but he kind of plays into it a bit. Or Kimi Räikkönen really hated talking to the media, but kind of played into that. You know, he made it a bit of a character. Lance Stroll hates talking to the media, but also has no character with it, has no like fun with it at any point ever. It's just really monotone. Why are there two streams? There should be one stream that is horizontal and one stream that is vertical, because YouTube now does two things, so I have to do two streams. Blame YouTube. YouTube now just, you know, basically pushes you to do that. Exposure level on my camera is too high. I can't change it. It is a webcam from like 1995. This is it. This is it for us. I can put a filter on it. That makes it worse. Can I do this? Oh my days. I can, yep, I can. Oh, maybe I can. No. Actually, can I turn the saturation down? Ooh, nope, now I'm just in black and white. There's nothing I can do. It's just, now I'm just in the past, it feels. now I just look like I'm from a distant past. I'm in a dream that you had. Anyway, qualifying is starting. Should we actually move to qualifying? The pit lane is open. Sainz and Albon were out first. Behrman, Ocon, Colapinto, Gasly, and Hulkenberg are also there now. Rest in peace, flashback. Yeah, now I look like I'm from a memory. You know, like, is it Harry Potter, the second one? Where Harry goes, like, into the book and he sees Tom Riddle as a teenager at Hogwarts? I look like I'm in that. I look like I'm in the past. Here we go then. Sainz, Russell, Albon. I've got my eyes on those three of the cars that are out there at the moment. Behrman, Ocon, Colapinto, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Bortoletto, Tsunoda, and Stroll are out there too. Isaac Hadjar I've kind of got a little bit of an eye on as well. Having a wonderful season so far, Isaac Hadjar. Had a really, really good triple header as well. Took a lot of points home for the RB team. And especially considering Liam Lawson hasn't quite hit the ground running, going to continue to stack praise onto Isaac Hadjar. Lewis Hamilton makes his way out of the garage as well. Oh, Kimi Antonelli, a little replay here. What's going on down at Mercedes? Oh, he got a little bit caught out. And ended up sort of slotting in behind the RB. I think Kimi Antonelli just letting them know on the radio that he didn't want to smash into the side of Isaac Hadjar, and I think that's absolutely fair enough. Why is my eye so red? I think just because of the exposure, it's like the glasses are making it look real weird. I think George Russell might be a little outside shout here. It's a little bit warmer in Canada. 21 degrees, not the normal kind of mid-teens that we get. But I still think they're in with a little bit of a shot. just because the Mercedes car does seem to like a chicane, and there's a good few around this circuit. George Russell does go purple of anybody so far in that first sector. Gasly and Colapinto top of the timing sheet at the moment. We've then got Sainz, Behrman, Ocon, Albon, Russell. Russell just coming towards it. Oh, thank you so much for the super chat. Expect a good performance from Alonso. He was 6th in FP3. Remember, a couple of years ago, Fernando Alonso, podium here, 2nd place finish behind Max Verstappen. How far away that feels now. No points on the board so far this season. Oh, no, sorry. Fernando did score points in Spain. I forgot. Spanish Grand Prix is a bit of a blur. George Russell has gone top of the timing sheets, as I was expecting, considering those purple sectors were coming in. Ollie Behrman makes a little mistake down into turn 1 and just messes that up. Lap over for Ollie Behrman before it even really got going. Lewis Hamilton has done exactly the same thing. So the two Ferrari-powered drivers, of course, Ollie Behrman looking at Lewis Hamilton's seat. Maybe, just maybe, there'll be a possibility for him to get into it into the future. Charles Leclerc gets a little tow from his teammate down that back straight. And then Leclerc is going to give Lewis Hamilton a tow also down towards turn 13, 14. Crosses the line to go 9th fastest as Charles Leclerc. That is not what we want to see from him at the moment. Quicker than Carlos Sainz, though. His old Ferrari teammate. Here comes Lando Norris for his first flying lap of the session. Oscar Piastri, his teammate behind, just crossing the start-finish line now. Still waiting for Norris, Hamilton, Alonso, Piastri, and Verstappen to set real lap times. So it's not looking good if you're Gasly, Ocon, Colapinto, Behrman, and Lawson, is it? Those 5 looking very likely to drop into the bottom 5 in this first qualifying session. Lando Norris then 51 seconds through that second sector. A 1:12.5 from George Russell, the current top time. Just a 10th quicker than his teammate Kimi Antonelli in second. Franco Colapinto improves to go 3rd fastest. So does Pierre Gasly. He's up to 5th. So Norris coming across the start-finish line now. Where can he slot himself into? Just behind the 2 Mercedes cars. The best 3rd sector of anybody we've seen so far in this qualifying session from Lando Norris, but not able to match Russell over the whole lap. 10th and a half adrift. Oscar Piastri's gone quickest in the 2nd sector to then go 2 tenths quicker than George Russell as well. So Oscar Piastri goes to the top of the timing sheets for now. Drops Carlos Sainz into the bottom 5. Hamilton still in there as well. Carlos Sainz improves up to 7th. Ollie Behrman drops into the bottom 5 places. Fernando Alonso has just gone quicker than anybody through the first sector. Here you go. Here's your Fernando Alonso flying lap, GameStar. We are on for a beautiful one if he keeps this going. It's not a bad middle sector at all from Fernando Alonso either. His teammate Lance Stroll has gone 2nd fastest. And is this Aston Martin's time to shine? Here comes Fernando Alonso across the start-finish line. It's 3rd fastest from Fernando, but he was on a set of medium tyres, was the Spaniard. That shows that he is absolutely flying around the streets of Montreal. Charles Leclerc looking to improve. He's down in 17th place. All 4 of the Ferrari-powered cars in the bottom 5 at the moment. Ocon, Behrman, and Hamilton sit behind Leclerc. Max Verstappen still yet to set a flying lap time. Here comes Charles Leclerc to improve, and improve he does. 2nd fastest behind Oscar Piastri. Still a 10th and a half away from the Australian. Yuki Tsunoda is now down in the bottom 5 again. I didn't realize that Charles Leclerc improving would drop Yuki Tsunoda into 16th place. Surely it can't be. A year on, by the way, from when Yuki Tsunoda was given an extension at RB due to his insane start to the season inside of that Racing Bulls car. How 12 months can change. He's got that jump up into the main team after being snubbed for Liam Lawson initially during the winter break. And since then, it has been an absolutely torrid season for Yuki Tsunoda. He's really struggled inside of that Red Bull and trying to adapt to it. Yuki Tsunoda down in 16th place, and Max Verstappen surely is only going to make it worse as he comes around the second sector with a 22.8 through the second sector, a 20.2 through the first sector. Verstappen is going to get himself clear of this bottom 5 if this final sector is anything to go by. Lewis Hamilton has also just improved up to be second fastest of anybody. And here comes Max Verstappen to go top of the timing sheets by 0.06 of a second. And of course, Piastri running wide. Tsunoda does have a 10-place grid penalty, but even so, you don't want to be starting, 10-place grid penalty, fine, but you still want to qualify well. You still want to show that you've got pace, especially if you're in Yuki Tsunoda's position, where he's had such a horrible start to the season. I think he just needs anything right now, any kind of positivity to push at least one positive, right? One positive is all we need from Yuki Tsunoda's Grand Prix weekend. Why does Yuki have a penalty? Oh, he infringed upon the red flag. It's a red flag infringement from Yuki Tsunoda. He overtook under red flag conditions during free practice 3. So Tsunoda has improved, though. He's up to 9th place in and amongst that. But again, just needs more time inside of the car. So it makes sense to just keep going, even with the 10-place penalty. Just try and qualify as high as you possibly can. Even if he qualifies 5th, that means starting 15th rather than 20th, which can make a difference. Can be a huge impact on your race. Oh, there's a little bit of debris on the back straight. Oh, and the engine cover of Carlos Sainz's Williams has come off. What on earth has happened there? Oh my goodness me, it's the entire left-hand side of the car has come off of... Oh, it's Alex Albon's Williams car. What's happened here? It just completely obliterated itself. That is going to have to be a flag, surely. There is a lot of debris down that back straight. How does that even happen? Alex Albon. I mean, they will have a spare engine cover. There is the red flag, as we were expecting. 5.5 minutes to go. Alex Albon's car, is effectively naked. The entire side pod and engine cover on the left-hand side of the car just tore itself off. There will be, I imagine, some investigations on that down at the FIA. They're going to be having a very, very close look at Alex Albon's car, because that shouldn't happen. And whatever they've done there is a little bit odd from Alex Albon, to say the least. Red flag nonetheless, so everybody's going to make their way back around. Alex Albon is still running. He's just coming around the hairpin now on your screens up towards the top left of the picture, just through turn 12. But just completely ripped the side pod off. Very strange indeed. So the marshals will, once Ollie Behrman makes his way around turn 10, be able to run out onto the track and start to clear up that debris. Nobody crashed, just Alex Albon's car, the engine cover on the left-hand side of the Williams, completely ripped itself off as he was accelerating down that back straight from turn 11 down through to turn 13. Maybe a little bit of damage that's just opened up something. Was there a screw loose? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It'd be really interesting to hear from the Williams team after this session as to what happened there. Of course, they have got a spare engine cover, so I think they will be able to repair that and put the engine cover or the spare engine cover on Alex Albon's car. They have only got 5.5 minutes left, though, and Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon are both down into that bottom 5. Not what I was expecting this weekend, especially considering how well Alex Albon has gone here over the last couple of seasons. Of course, just because you've gone well in the last couple of seasons doesn't mean you're absolutely guaranteed to do well again, but just feels like the Williams car does suit this track. Seems like Albon likes this track as well. But the marshals are out. The red flags are still being waved. The debris is being picked up. And there's just one marshal left out on track, picking up the last of the carbon fiber that is strewn across the racetrack. Seeing that replay again. Is there any kind of bobble or anything that he goes up? There's literally nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just going down the back straight. Comes around turn 11 through turn 12 and then just loses it. And it just ballooned up, in the words of the Williams engineers. They have got a second engine cover. It's going on to Alex Albon's car. So Albon fans, don't worry. It does feel like we will see the Williams car back out on track. We've got a green flag as well once again. 5.5 minutes left on the clock. Sainz, Gasly, Albon, Behrman, Hulkenberg, the 5 drivers that need to improve. Carlos Sainz only out by 0.02 of a second as it stands. Gabriel Bortoleto, the man under pressure in 15th place that needs to improve. And we're going to be back racing again in a couple of minutes' time by the looks of things in terms of the steward's notes. DRS is also going to be enabled. Lovely. Fernando Alonso, top of the timing sheets, a 1:12.3. Sorry, 1:12.2. Give him that extra 1/10 of a second. He deserves it. And on the medium tyre, Fernando Alonso seemingly preferring that medium tyre at the moment. Absolutely smashing the lap times in, so you can't complain about it. Anything major happened? Alex Albon's car just decided to disintegrate itself, effectively. Not to the extreme where he is out of the session or anything. But Alex Albon having to put that engine cover, or new engine cover, on that car. And the drivers already waiting in a queue in the garage. They know that time is going to be of the essence. 5.5 minutes left. Everybody wants to get another lap time in because we know that the times are going to tumble. I think the only driver really feeling maybe a bit safe are Alonso, Verstappen and Piastri possibly, but I don't know. It's all very, very tight, and Piastri is literally at the front of the queue, so Piastri not feeling safe enough in third place at the moment. I feel for Alex Albon in all of this because he does really need to get the car out on track, but he is still waiting for that engine cover to be put back onto the car, and therefore he's probably going to find himself at the back of this queue. Doesn't mean that he's not going to get a lap in. Will very much get a lap in. 5.5 minutes, more than enough time for all 20 cars to get around. It's just there's going to be a lot of pressure on that final lap for Alex Albon. He's not going to have much wiggle room. He's going to need a very, very swift exit lap, which is never amazing for your tyres. Liam Lawson also deciding to wait in the garage rather than joining the queue in the pit lane. The RB team maybe thinking that 11th place, 4.5 tenths off the pace. Couple of attempts quicker, though, than Bortoleto at the moment. Will that be good enough? Hadjar still ahead of his teammates. Tsunoda just out of that. Little pack of 3 Red Bull-powered cars in 9th, 10th, and 11th to keep a little eye on. Lando Norris down in 12th place as well. That would be an absolute dagger to his weekend if he were to drop into the bottom 5. Unlikely, but you never know. Wants to get out early. Oscar Piastri comes out first and foremost as the... And that looks like a set of new soft compound tyres for Lando Norris, which does mean he's using a second set of soft tyres in Q1. That is not going to be great for him going into Q3 if he gets there. Means he's going to have one less set of soft compound tyres compared to some of the other guys around him. That is... It's going to be tough. It's going to be an interesting qualifying session. As I said, I do think it's going to be quite a tight one. I feel like all of the top teams in with a shout here. Verstappen looks on it. Charles Leclerc's looked fairly good, even though he missed out on free practice 1 and free practice 2 effectively. I mean, he got a couple of laps in free practice 1, but it didn't go overly well for him, did it? George Russell's been very consistent around here. The Mercedes car looking like it's got a little bit of pace in it as well. I just feel like this is a very open-ended qualifying session, and maybe having to use another set of softs will be one tiny little thing that might just catch Lando Norris out at the end here. Piastri, though, is the first driver who is going to set another flying lap in this one. Max still in the pits. Does look like it at the moment. Got a few drivers just deciding to wait it out. 5.5 minutes more than enough time to get yourself an out lap and sort everything out for you. Alex Albon still yet to make his way out of the garage, as well as the man in the bottom 5 who is not out on track. Behrman and Hülkenberg are actually side by side. They're just in front of Oscar Piastri. Lando Norris has just gone fastest of anybody through the first sector. A 20.0 from Lando Norris through that first part of the lap. But yeah, Behrman and Hülkenberg are both out. Carlos Sainz has just made his way out of the garage as well. He's actually catching up to the back of Bortoleto. Gasly is on a flying lap. Russell, Antonelli now making their way out. Lawson just joining the queue in the pit lane as Colapinto starts his flying lap. Here comes Lando Norris, gone quickest in the middle sector as well. But Pierre Gasly has just taken the fastest first sector time of anybody inside of his Alpine. Maybe Alpine are in the mix as well this weekend. It really does feel like it's to and fro. Anybody could chuck up a decent last time. And we know that qualifying has been so crucial over the course of the 2025 season so far. Lando Norris, though, goes quickest by a tenth of a second. He's the first driver to get into the 111.8s. His teammate also in the 111.9s. Charles Leclerc, a 1:12.2, the best that the Ferrari can do at the moment. Lewis Hamilton then also joins the 1:11 club, goes 0.02 of a second slower than Oscar Piastri. Charles Leclerc not looking as stable anymore, was looking okay in free practice 3, although that was his only free practice session of the weekend. Here comes Fernando Alonso to go 4th fastest, who is absolutely flying inside of that Aston Martin car, and again on a used set of medium tyres there. Fernando Alonso, I wouldn't keep an eye on Fernando Alonso going into Q2 and Q3. Just seems to have found something a little bit different this weekend, the Spaniard. Here comes Isaac Hadjar, 12th fastest at the moment, 3.5 tenths down on Lando Norris's time through the middle sector. A little bit of traffic to contend with as he makes his way out of the hairpin. Alex Albon ahead of him as well to give him a little bit of a tow, as long as Alex Albon doesn't lose his bodywork again down that back straight. Looks to be all okay inside of that Williams car. Isaac Hadjar across the start-finish line, and it's 3.8 tenths and 5th fastest for Isaac Hadjar. Sonoda only goes 9th fastest of anybody. Ollie Behrman looking to improve in the bottom 5. Gabriel Bortoleto is down there after Gasly improved on his lap time. Bortoleto down in 16th place. Sainz, Albon, Behrman, and Hulkenberg, the other 5 that need to improve. 1.3 seconds between the whole... That's what I mean. There's so many cars this weekend that just look like they could deliver something. Oh, Wally Behrman, a little mistake through turn 13. And that's not going to... Well, it gets him up to 11 fastest at the moment. But it might not be the perfect lap for Ollie Behrman. Although there's actually not a lot of lap time left. Behrman might just about be safe as Nico Hulkenberg can't go quicker than him. Esteban Ocon also gets his Haas only up into 14th place. Here comes Alex Albon after fixing that Williams car. It's a pretty decent first and second sector from Alex Albon. Surely going to get himself out of that bottom 5 by a considerable margin. Does. 6th fastest from Alex Albon. That's what we were expecting from the Williams. And here comes Carlos Sainz. Not good enough. Not good enough from Carlos Sainz. Neither is the Gabriel Bortoleto lap. Bortoleto and Sainz dropping out. Lance Stroll also on a lap, I think. Yeah, just making his way towards the hairpin. Is he on a flying lap, Lance Stroll? I can't actually see. Where is he on my timing sheets? No, he is not. Lance Stroll is not on a flying lap. Here comes Max Verstappen to go 5th fastest. And I don't think Liam Lawson is on a flying lap either. No, he isn't. So that is it. Bortoleto, Sainz, Stroll, Lawson, and Gasly. So Stroll nowhere near the pace of Fernando Alonso in this. Carlos Sainz will be disappointed. That Williams car showing good pace once again in the hands of Alex Albon. Bortoleto is out. Hulkenberg is through. In fact, we have 5 cars from 5 different teams inside of that bottom 5. This is looking like it's going to be such a tight weekend. 8 tenths of a second split the entire field. Oh. And Carlos Sainz is indeed impeded by Isaac Hadjar. And I think he was on a... Yeah, Carlos Sainz is going to make a little case there. Isaac Hadjar does get quite in the way of Carlos Sainz, and that certainly cost him a 10th or 2. Ooh, that could be a little bit of a disaster for Isaac Hadjar. We know that we know that Yuki Tsunoda in that second Red Bull has already got himself a 10-place penalty. I think there could be a penalty coming for Isaac Hadjar there as well. 20 cars split by less than a second. This is what we want. This is the Formula One we have been waiting for. My goodness me. What a first session that was. Look at the gap between Bortoleto and Ocon. 7 thousandths of a second the difference between getting through and dropping out in the first qualifying session is ridiculously tight in this Canadian. I feel like the Canadian Grand Prix, we had this last year a little bit, although it was mixed conditions, so maybe we didn't get to quite see it to the same extent. I feel like with it being dry and fairly warm, like it's 21 degrees in Canada, so fairly decent track temperature of 43.2 degrees Celsius. I feel like we're just seeing all of the cars find their peak just at the right time. And now it is those nuances. It's those tiny little details. It is those fractions of a fraction of a second that are creating, well, the difference between pole position and Gabriel Bortoleto being out of it. Why does Yuki Tsunoda have a 10th-place penalty? A red flag infringement. Red flag infringement. In fact, I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about having like a little news. I don't know where I'd fit it on the screen. Like a little news thing at the bottom so that all of the bits and pieces throughout the weekend, all the penalties and various stuff. Yuki just got a 10th place penalty? No. The 10th place penalty was from free practice 3. Overtaking. I mean, I guess you can undertake. Yeah, it was undertaking during a red flag in free practice 3. Stroll half a second slower than Alonso. Yeah, but half a second is not that, like, normally if you're half a second behind your teammate, it's a bit like, oh, okay, you had a bad weekend. When the grid is this tight, half a second behind your teammate is the difference between 6th and 18th. Like, Sergio Perez used to be half a second behind Max Verstappen for a lot of their time together at Red Bull, and he'd still get through to Q3. Like, it is so tight between these drivers right now. Norris and Piastri separated by a 10th as well. Hamilton within that 10th. Leclerc a couple of tenths. Verstappen 2/10. Alonso 2/10. Russell 2/10. Albon 2/10. Like, it's just so tight. I honestly don't know if you can pick it. Like, if you had to guess the 10 drivers that are going to get through into Q3, of course you'd gamble on, you know, your McLarens, your Mercedes, although Kimi Antonelli down in 11th place, your Ferraris, Max Verstappen. But I don't know. Alonso's looked really swift. Albon, we know, goes well here. Hadjar's having a brilliant season so far. Colapinto's just put in a 10th place in a weekend where he really needs to step up because that triple header for Colapinto was absolutely disastrous. I know he was kind of thrown in before Imola and didn't have a lot of time to adjust, but needs to show it now. Does Franco Colapinto? Behrman's in there. Ocon's in there. Hulkenberg off the back of his best race of the season. Well, his best finish in a very long time. A 5th place in Spain for Nico Hulkenberg. James Vowles being fairly pragmatic as ever inside of the Williams garage. Obviously saying Hadjar will likely get a penalty for impeding, and I feel like that is true. But Carlos Sainz is now out. Carlos Sainz would have been through, by the way. That would have been Esteban Ocon in that bottom 5 instead of Carlos Sainz. He was going very well indeed before getting impeded by Isaac Hadjar. Has Hadjar gotten a grid penalty for impeding Sainz yet? Not confirmed, but likely to be 3 place, maybe 5 place if they're feeling really harsh. As I say, Yuki Tsunoda, we know, has got a 10 place. Here we go. We are back underway once again, and Max Verstappen looking like the driver who wants to get us underway in this one. Lando Norris just wandering behind his championship rival from last season, Max Verstappen, now falling away from the championship top two. It does feel like it's going to be a straight battle between the two McLarens. But you never know. Never count Max Verstappen out too early. Still a long way to go in this season. Just round 10 of 24 here in Canada. And Piastri leading the championship is third in this gaggle of cars. Franco Colapinto getting himself out and about as well. Up into the top 10 in Q1. Can he remain there and get himself through into Q3? That's what we have to wait and see. Fernando Alonso also going incredibly well. Behrman and Ocon making their way out on track. But let's keep an eye on Verstappen then as he is making his way round turn 10. The hairpin then leads you through 11, down that back straight, all the way to 13. Swift chicane, just careful of the Wall of Champions. Although I can't remember the last champion who actually went into the Wall of Champions. Does anyone know the last champion to hit the Wall of Champions? Because I don't think Verstappen has. I don't think Hamilton has. Rosberg? Has Rosberg ever hit the Wall of Champions? I suppose he would have done before. Maybe he would have done before he was a champion, but I don't even know if he has. Who was the last champion to hit the Wall of Champions? There you go. Here's a little bit of trivia as we watch Max Verstappen set the standard in the first part of the lap with a 19.8. Vettel? Yeah, Vettel. It's not a bad shout. That was a while ago, though, no? There must have been another champion in the Wall of Champions since Vettel. Wow. Wall of Champions not living up to its name there, is it? Not really collecting many champions if it was Sebastian Vettel all the way down there. Piastri hit it today, foreshadowing. Yeah, love that. Love that. That's why he hit it. Did it on purpose, did Oscar Piastri. He knew. Here we are then. Max Verstappen sets the standard. A 111.6. I was not expecting it to be that. And Lando Norris almost matches it perfectly. A 111.6 as well. 0.04 of a second adrift. Here comes Oscar Piastri then. And goes 0.07. It's within 1/10 of a second. Again, that top three is so tight. Could be anything between them. They've all got a fast sector. Verstappen fastest in the first sector. Piastri fastest in the second sector. Norris fastest in the third sector of the times that we saw them put in there. Here comes Charles Leclerc just diving away from Esteban Ocon's rear wing. He makes his way through 13 and 14 as well. Where can Charles Leclerc slot himself into? 2.5 of a second off, but still fourth fastest at the moment. Behrman, Colapinto. Alonso has technically set a time, but let's not really count it. Same with Esteban Ocon there with a 123.8. Don't think that's really representative as his full pace to come. Albon, Hülkenberg, Hadjar, Tsunoda, Russell, and Antonelli we are still waiting on. Hülkenberg hit it. That's very true. Not sure that's going to happen, if I'm honest, Josh, but you never know. Hülkenberg is he's turned it up in Spain, a 5th place finish. If he can build on that this weekend, never count him out. Fernando Alonso, though, on a flying lap now. Soft compound tyres onto that Aston Martin car. Favoured the mediums in Q1, did Alonso, and was putting in some stunning lap times. Let's see what he can do on a pair of softs. 6th fastest, slots in behind the two Ferrari cars, but good chunk of time ahead of the rest of the other midfield pack at the moment. Behrman and Colapinto both 7/10 off the pace at the moment. Esteban Ocon a second of it. Remember, only 8/10 separated the entire field during Q1, so every millisecond matters at the moment. Yuki Tsunoda will know that more than anybody. 10-place penalty for him, but if he can get himself through to Q3, at least guarantees himself, well, not quite guarantees himself, but more than likely guarantees himself not starting from the absolute back of the pack. Albon 1.2 seconds off the pace, darts into the pits. Nico Hülkenberg, again, not a representative time as of yet. So we're waiting on Hadjar, Tsunoda, Russell, and Antonelli. Tsunoda, not bad middle sector from him. Needs a little bit more. Why is Verstappen using the medium tyre? Quite a few drivers have gone for the medium tyre so far in this qualifying today. Just feels like the medium tyre is working for a few teams, able to maybe get it up to temperature and keep it within that working window. Is a little bit warmer than we were expecting in Canada, so maybe the teams have just set their cars up a little bit to sort of maybe expect cooler temperatures, although they will be adapting the car throughout the weekend, so you'd imagine they would have expected it, but you never know. Isaac Hadjar comes across the line, 10th fastest for Isaac Hadjar once again, showing that he's capable of getting himself into Q3. 0.3 of a second quicker than Ocon and Hülkenberg. Albon is on an outlap after a pretty poor first flying lap attempt, and Albon has decided to opt for the medium tyre this time around as well. George Russell is on a scrubbed set of softs, and Kimi Antonelli on a fresh set behind him. George Russell just making his way down that back straight through turn 12, down towards turn 13. DRS wide open, swings the car right, then left again, as close to that wall of champions as you dare get. And across the start-finish line to go 6th fastest, George Russell. Kimi Antonelli getting ever closer to that wall as well. Let's see where he slots in. 8th fastest behind his teammate. 10th and a half between them, even with a fresh set of soft compound tyres on Kimi Antonelli's car. Mediums are more consistent than softs. It does feel like that. The mediums just seem to be sitting in that window where they've got the grip. They're a little bit more, as you say, consistent, a little bit easier to predict inside of the car than the soft compound tyres at the moment. And Max Verstappen benefiting from that. 0.04 of a second. The only difference between him and Lando Norris at the moment, though. Piastri slots into 3rd place as it stands. Although really, we're focusing on the bottom of this pack. Colapinto is the man on the bubble. He needs 0.05 of a second to get himself ahead of Ollie Behrman. Isaac Hadjar has dropped down into 12th. Ocon 13th. Hülkenberg 14th. And Alex Albon is now back out on track. That new look Williams car after a swift change of engine cover during the first qualifying session. The red flags were flying after Alex Albon went down that back straight, then did get himself through. And now Alex Albon looking to be in Q3 again. Disappointing weekend in Spain, considering how good and how consistent Alex Albon has been able to be over the course of the season so far. Really has sparked into life inside of that Williams car. Of course, this season, we were all talking about it. Will he be able to step up to the pressure, knowing that Carlos Sainz is coming into that seat alongside him, knowing that he's finally got a little bit of competition inside of the Williams team, and he has taken that and absolutely run with it. Albon just seems like a brand new driver coming into 2025. Let's see what he can do here, keeping an eye on the Williams' lap times. Charles Leclerc also going quickest of anybody in the middle sector on his flying lap. Hamilton ahead of him, just pulling into the pits, but Charles Leclerc is flying. See if he can improve on 5th place. Needs to find 0.2 of a second to get himself up into that top 3, but surely will get himself above his teammate at least. And goes quickest of anybody. Was not expecting that from Charles Leclerc. I knew the middle sector was decent, but actually that first sector was very good from Charles Leclerc as well. I had not kept an eye on. Oh no, actually it's a couple of tenths slower than, well, yeah. Not amazing first sector. It's looking at the overall first sector is not his last first sector. But Charles Leclerc decent nonetheless. And here comes Alex Albon, the man that we were discussing beforehand. And he gets up to 7th place on the medium tyre. 0.003 of a second behind George Russell. And gets in between Russell and Alonso in the pecking order. Top 4 is too close. I know, within 1/10 of a second, the top 4 places. We saw this last year, though. Where George Russell and Max Verstappen both sent identical times to claim pole position. Of course, George Russell set it first, was the only difference between them. And then even the year before, we saw Verstappen and Russell and Norris all kind of within touching distance of... No, that was last year, wasn't it? Year before was Verstappen and Alonso. Within considerable margin of one another. I think just the Canadian track does lend itself to these fairly tight qualifying sessions with these new ground effect cars. Ferrari's weekend finally. Let's not jinx it. It's a little bit early still. We're still only in Q2. We've got 3 minutes left for this all to go wrong. No, we've got 3 minutes left, and then we'll see how it goes in the big one, you know. Ferrari should really get themselves through to Q3 without really breaking too much of a sweat. It's the final qualifying session that matters the most to them. Franco Colapinto, though, will be looking at this as an opportunity to really show what he has got. So Flavio Briatore was starting to increase the pressure on the Argentine. He's biting back, and he gets himself up into the top 10. Squeezes a tiny little bit of time out of it. 0.5 of a second. I don't know if that's going to be enough from Franco Colapinto. Tsunoda, Behrman, Hadjar, Ocon, and Hulkenberg all looking to improve. It's going to be very tight again, though. It's again a second and a 10th, splitting the entire field. I feel like that's going to get even narrower as we go into this. Yeah, that's also true. A little bit of a shorter track, similar to what we kind of see in Austria, for instance. Super short track does end up kind of condensing the times together a little bit. And Fernando Alonso has not had a fun time during that first sector. He's 8th fastest at the moment. Maybe just going to back off a touch, the Spaniard, and recharge the battery, reassess the damage, and go again. Tsunoda, personal best in the first sector. Tsunoda's improving, Hadjar's improving. They're all going quicker. George Russell enters the chat. Goes quickest of anybody with a 1:11.5. Russell, again, only quickest in the middle sector of anybody. But 3 sector times combined, more than enough for George Russell to jump to the top of the timing sheets. This is what I said at the beginning of the session. It's going to be really tight between all 4 of those top teams. Russell, Leclerc, Verstappen, Norris, Piastri. All feels like they're in contention for pole position here in Canada. Kimi Antonelli wanting to be in and amongst it, gets up to 8th place. Fernando Alonso drops down to 9th. Yuki Tsunoda now 10th. Franco Colapinto into that bottom 5. And that feels like it's going to be the end of the Argentines qualifying. Isaac Hadjar has to part the Ferrari-powered C as he goes between a Haas and a Ferrari, going down towards the hairpin. That's not going to help his lap time at all. Fernando Alonso also is improving just behind him. It is going to be very tight indeed. Can Isaac Hadjar cause Yuki Tsunoda a problem here and put the pressure on the Japanese driver. Isaac Hadjar is going to get to the checkered flag and does. Goes 9th fastest of anybody. Fernando Alonso's improving behind, though. Can Fernando Alonso put himself safe? Yes, he goes 6th fastest. Ocon can't improve. Behrman is in the pits. Colapinto is out as well. Hulkenberg is just coming through the final sector and keeping an eye on Yuki Tsunoda as well. Here comes Nico Hulkenberg, only 13th fastest. So it is either Hadjar or Tsunoda. And Tsunoda, oh, he's not on a hot lap. He is not on a hot lap. I thought Tsunoda was coming through behind. I was keeping an eye on Hulkenberg's timings. And George Russell jumping the queue in the pits by the looks of it. Ooh la la. Isaac Hadjar once again rubs salt into the wound, doesn't he? Liam Lawson down in 19th place. Yuki Tsunoda out in Q2. And who's the other Red Bull powered car in the top 10? I'll give you one guess. Ooh la la. It is Isaac Hadjar. Goodness me. Kimi Antonelli also makes it through, doubling up with the Mercedes cars inside of the top 10. Alex Albon. If I was going to put money on one of the midfield cars getting through into the top 10, not just because Alex Albon is having a stunning season, but also because Alex Albon has been ridiculously quick in Canada over the last couple of seasons as well. He's in there. Fernando Alonso has managed to slot himself into that top 10 as well, ahead of Lewis Hamilton. And then it is that top 5. Put your bets in now, because I have absolutely no clue who this could go to. A 10th and a half separates 5 drivers in there. Piastri, Verstappen, Leclerc, Norris, and Russell. If this is what we are looking at in terms of qualifying pace, tomorrow's race could be absolutely lightning. It could be ridiculous. We could have 5 drivers, 4 different teams, 5 different drivers running for the win. Oh my goodness. What an incredible, incredible Canadian Grand Prix that would be. Where's Carlos? Unfortunately down in 17th place after being impeded by Isaac Hadjar. So much as I'm giving Hadjar a little bit of praise, it does feel like there's going to be a penalty on top of that. So Hadjar, if he does qualify 10th, will probably start 13th. So keep an eye out for that. The Frenchman not yet received the penalty. And in fact, is it on the investigations there, anybody? Investigated after the session, of course. I don't know why they do this in qualifying. Nothing ever gets actually investigated at the time. Look at how many investigations there are. They are all to be investigated after the session. That's what this little magnifying glass with an arrow means. It means it's going to be investigated after the session. Look at how many there are. Do they actually investigate anything during the session? Just absolutely pointless. Anyway, Isaac Hadjar versus Verstappen. Says system. It is the battle of the 2 fastest Red Bulls. Arvid Lindblad has a super license now. Very true. He got the dispensation needed to get his super license early. What does that mean for Liam Lawson's career? What does that mean for Yuki Tsunoda's career? You know, what happens there? It does feel like they do want to put Lindblad into one of those seats sooner rather than later. I was debating doing a video on that, but then I got the keys to my new house. So maybe next week. Little video about Arvid Lindblad, because I do think there's quite a few different scenarios where Lindblad could play quite a pivotal role inside of the Red Bull driver market, especially if Max Verstappen doesn't elongate his contract with the team beyond 2028. I think the FAA wants something to do after the session. I think they just don't ever really do any investigations during qualifying. I never know why. Oh, and Ollie Behrman lost a couple of times. Oh, Behrman. I mean, it still wouldn't have made him through, I don't think. Where was Behrman in the end? Yeah, he was 7.5 tenths off. Ocon also made a mistake. So the actual spread of the grid there in Q2 wider than the spread in Q1, which is good. $100 bet on Alonso pole. I think, of the drivers there, I know he's 6th fastest, but just look at the lap times. It would win you $3,566. That is insane. I mean, maybe it was just worth a gamble then, no? No. Don't gamble. Do not gamble. It's not good for you. The house always wins, etc., etc. Interesting that Leclerc also only had one free practice session inside of that Ferrari, and just already looks right on it. Is that thing in it when the car is there for Leclerc, he is just another level when it comes to qualifying. Like when he's there, when he can click with the car, even without the practice, he just has a way of finding a couple attempts, which I do think is just such a stunning trait to have. Looking at a little jet boat going past the Canadian Grand Prix circuit. Isaac Hadjar getting used to this at this point, surely. Isaac Hadjar just watching and waiting as he goes through another Q3 session. Don't worry, guys. I'll be the 2nd fastest Red Bull again. No worries. I'll keep it going. Need that 2nd seat beside Verstappen, do you? You've got my number, helmet. Lewis Hamilton makes his way into the pit lane. Zhou Guanyu there with the Ferrari team this weekend. Do wonder if we'll get to see him in Formula One. Little links to Cadillac being talked about for Zhou Guanyu for the future. Obviously, he has that Chinese backing. And quite a bit of money could go their way if they do need the finances to get that Cadillac team up and running, starting, of course, next year. So I think Russell is grabbing pole again. I mean, he's quick around here. And the Mercedes car, as I said, over the last couple of years has just been good here. Russell grabbed pole last year, although absolutely nothing between him and Max Verstappen. Literally nothing between him and Max Verstappen last year when it came to that battle for pole position. And everybody... Well, as I say, I have no idea here. I think it could be anyone in that top 5 that nabs pole position. I think it's going to be milliseconds of milliseconds that are going to get you this top spot. Russell, Norris, Leclerc, Piastri, Verstappen, maybe even Hamilton in the mix as well. Russell is the Saturday man. I think that's almost the nickname. He said he doesn't want that Red Bull seat. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I think that's the correct choice, right? At this point, he's seen so many drivers. I know that, Sergio Perez was good for a time. Sergio Perez delivered, has to be said. And I do think we kind of forget a little bit the couple of seasons where Sergio Perez was very good. But then there were a couple of seasons where Sergio Perez was not so good. And then outside of that, you're looking at there hasn't been a good second driver to Max Verstappen in almost a decade now. So, well, not quite, but second Red Bull seat cursed. Does feel like they're just slotting through drivers, and Isaac Hadjar deciding he doesn't want to be one of them. Maybe Isaac Hadjar just sort of lining up. He's just going to do the jump before. So he's seen, Gasly and Albon. He's seen, they went to other teams. They're now main men there. Maybe he'll just skip the step where he becomes the second driver at Red Bull and then gets thrown back into the second team. Maybe he'll just go to another team. I could see Isaac Hadjar slotting into an Alpine. They'll have a French driver there. Or maybe Isaac Hadjar becomes the main man, replaces Fernando Alonso at Aston Martin or something a little bit strange. Charles Leclerc then. The Ferrari getting underway. Leclerc quicker than Hamilton through that first sector. Hamilton a 22.7, Leclerc a 20.0. So Leclerc absolutely flying until Lando Norris gets into the 119s. 119.9 from Lando Norris through the first sector. Keeping an eye. Oh, and then outdone as well by his teammate, but it's 0.003 of a second between Piastri and Norris through that first sector. As I said, it's going to be milliseconds, ladies and gentlemen. That is a ridiculous gap between the two. Lando Norris about 0.02 of a second quicker than Charles Leclerc through the middle sector as well. So Leclerc sets the standard at a 1:11.7. But then Piastri comes through the middle sector and goes quicker than his teammate, again by just a couple of... Oh, and Lando Norris, a mistake through to turn 13. That's going to be lap time deleted from Lando Norris there, even though he comes across the line at 5.5 tenths. Here comes Piastri then, as Verstappen now sets the fastest first sector time. Let's see what Piastri can do. Does go quicker than Charles Leclerc by a considerable margin. It's 4.5 tenths. And Piastri sets a line in the sand, a 1:11.2 from the Australian. Let's see, though. Verstappen was 0.2 of a second quicker than Piastri through the first sector. He's a 1/10 of a second down on Piastri through the middle sector, but still has a 10th in hand. Let's see what this final sector has for Max Verstappen. He's coming down towards turn 13. Right and left he goes. Gets agonizingly close to that wall of champions. And down across the start-finish line goes Verstappen to go quicker than Piastri. It's 0.02 of a second. 200. I was right. 200 of a second quicker than Oscar Piastri. And Max Verstappen will not be beaten after a 10th place finish. Last time out in Spain, felt like he drifted just too far away from the top drivers in the championship. Maybe it was going to be a battle for the championship between the two McLarens, but no. Verstappen will not lie down. He is there once again. Here comes George Russell, though, has yet to set a flying lap time. The Mercedes man waiting, watching, and 0.3 of a second down on Verstappen through the first sector. Maybe I'll just reel in the possibility of George Russell nabbing pole position at this point. Isaac Hadjar sets his lap time at 1:12.3. Lando Norris has gone again. Here comes Lando Norris for another flying lap then. Just outbraked himself, did Norris, into turn 13. And Max Verstappen complaining about his steering getting heavy. Steering getting heavy in Max Verstappen's car, but still good enough to get himself to the top of the timing sheets by a narrow margin. George Russell a little bit sideways out of turn 14 as well. Goes third fastest, though, quicker than the Ferraris. Much better in that second and third sector than it was in the first from George Russell. Here comes Lando Norris. George Russell just completed his lap. Lando Norris trying to get a respective lap time in. Alex Albon also didn't get a real lap in, is now going for it. Lando Norris round the final couple of corners. No purple sectors from Norris, and it's only 5th fastest. As the pressure is going to start to mount now on Lando Norris. Piastri is going to be looking at his teammate, and Piastri knows Verstappen being in front of him is okay as long as Lando Norris is a couple of places behind. So if you're Piastri, you still take this as a little bit of a win if it remains like this, but of course, it probably won't. Here comes Alex Albon then to set his flying lap inside of the Williams. Does feel like it's a little bit of a battle of those three, isn't it? Alonso, Hadjar, Albon, who's going to start best of the rest in the midfield, and Albon not getting there. Alonso, 7th fastest, best of the rest at the moment. Albon just quicker than Isaac Hadjar on the medium tyre inside of that Williams car. And incredible to think Alex Albon's qualifying almost over during Q1. The left-hand side of his engine cover ripped itself off that Williams And now gets through to Q3 once again. Doesn't let that affect him. Cool, calm, collected, and just having the absolute season of his life. Alex Albon at the moment, isn't he? Verstappen, though, quickest of anybody at the moment. Piastri, second fastest. That front row again, we saw it in Saudi Arabia. We know that those two can get a little bit feisty with one another. Verstappen on mediums for those final 2 laps. I don't know. It's a little bit of a gamble. Everybody went for softs there. Just finding, well, everybody in contention for pole position. Alonso missed the trick and is using softs. I think just the absolute peak performance, you'd still back the soft compound tire to give you more overall lap. It's just whether you can deal with the little bit of inconsistency that soft tire seems to be giving some of the drivers. I think that's why we're seeing a few drivers opting for the mediums, even though generally the medium tire will be slower. If you can get more pace out of it because it's more consistent and therefore more predictable, is kind of your what you would lose in the unpredictability of the soft tire, you're kind of gaining in the predictability of the medium tire, even though the soft content tire is quicker. All of that, there's a lot of words in there, but hopefully you got what I mean. Alonso is on the mediums though. Hamilton also out. Leclerc too. Oh, and we've got McLaren. It is Piastri was in front of Norris in the queue. I was wondering which of the 2 McLarens was going to come out first. It is Oscar Piastri, then Lando Norris, and then Max Verstappen. So Alonso going early with it. Hamilton just slowing down a touch around the final couple of corners. And Charles Leclerc making his way through turn 8 and turn 9. Here comes Alonso, goes 4th fastest. Does Fernando Alonso. Here comes Hamilton. It wasn't amazing through the middle sector. Yeah, okay, goes 4th fastest nonetheless. Quicker than Fernando Alonso for now. Charles Leclerc is also just coming around turn 11 through 12. Here we are then. Albon also making his way out of the pits. Isaac Hadjar too. It's going to be a real tight finish here. Piastri is just coming around towards turn 11. Charles Leclerc starting his flying lap now. It does feel like Verstappen, Piastri, Russell, as I say, Norris, Leclerc should really be in this battle. Lando Norris being told, just stick to the line. Oh, Charles Leclerc. Oh, Charles Leclerc gets all out of shape in that middle sector. It's all fallen away. Charles Leclerc was quickest of anybody through that first sector and has given up on the lap. That is a real tough bitter pill to swallow for Charles Leclerc there. Very swift through the first sector and then lost it all through the middle part of the lap. Just could not get the grip through 5, 6, and 7. Piastri and Norris, good first sector times, but not the fastest we've seen today. Lando Norris is about a 10th of a second quicker than Piastri through the first sector. Piastri then also not an amazing middle sector from him either. About a 10th of a second down on Verstappen's lap time. Lando Norris, a really poor middle sector. Everybody seeming to struggle with that middle part of the lap. Wasn't just Charles Leclerc, but Max Verstappen finds a 10th and a half. And this is why you just can't catch out Max Verstappen. Here comes Oscar Piastri to improve his time. Quicker in the final sector. He's found a 10th of a second, but I just still think Verstappen's to go. Although George Russell has just gone quickest of anybody in the middle sector. Here comes Lando Norris. Is he going to improve? No. It's poor from Lando Norris. Max Verstappen, I feel like, is on for pole position here and does get better than Piastri. Piastri, 0.06 of a second slower than Verstappen. Here comes Russell. We know he can do it. We know he can do it. That is insane. That is ridiculous from George Russell. Stop it. A 110.8 from... Oh my goodness me. George Russell, take a bow. Russell on pole, fastest in the middle sector, a stunning lap from the Mercedes man. He's done it again. He's done it again. George Russell just comes in, sneaks under the radar, and nabs another Canadian pole position. He loves it here in Montreal, and Montreal loves him. Is delivering pole position after pole position. Can Russell turn this into his first victory of the season? Verstappen just behind in second. Piastri leading the championship, but starts from third place. Kimi Antonelli starting from fourth. That is a very, very solid qualifying session from Kimi Antonelli, considering his season so far. Has started to dwindle a little bit after that pole position, didn't it? 2 DNFs in 3 races and a 20th place finish was not the triple header that he needed in Imola, Monaco and Spain, but starting from 4th place nonetheless. Hamilton starts ahead of his teammate, was not expecting that, but as I say, Charles Leclerc just got it all wrong through turn 5, 6 and 7. And it's the dirty air. Isaac Hadjar, again, Isaac Hadjar making some enemies of the Formula One grid in more ways than one. Fernando Alonso starting in 6th place, though, best of the rest, where Isaac Hadjar has found himself a few times. Hadjar not there. Alonso P6 will start ahead of Lando Norris in P7 and ahead of Charles Leclerc in P8. Isaac Hadjar was able to slot into 9th place. Alex Albon starts inside of the point scoring positions. Just to round out those cars behind, Yuki Tsunoda is going to start from 20th place with a 10 place grid penalty for the Japanese driver. Colapinto will start therefore in 11th, then Hulkenberg, Behrman and Ocon. They were the drivers to drop out during Q2. Gabriel Bortoleto will start from 15th place as he was 16th and out in Q1. He was joined by Carlos Sainz, Lance Stroll, Liam Lawson and Pierre Gasly. Those 5 drivers out before it even really began. But there is the man of the hour. There is the man who sits on pole position once again. It is George Russell for the 2nd year in a row inside of that Mercedes car. And is this the start of Mercedes season? Thank you guys so much for watching. Apologies about the camera. It is an absolute nightmare. I'm going to try my best right now to fix the camera for the main event tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you. It's going to be the final stream from this setup, so we can say goodbye to it all together. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it massively, and I will see you in less than 24 hours' time for what could be an absolutely ridiculous Canadian Grand Prix.